Hello everybody, it's your old pal Tuna here, and welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here, I'm an illustrator and comic artist from Canada, and I make videos about my life as a full-time artist. Okay, it's Thursday, December 7th today, and I am going this weekend to a market called the Weirdos Market here in Vancouver, and it is a popular kind of counterculture, kind of alternative craft market because if you've been to a craft market, which I assume that you have, you may be familiar with the phenomenon known as the beige market, which is where we have nothing but skincare product, candles, maybe food, all kinds of stuff that generally appeals to a very wide and, dare I say, normie sort of crowd. But this one is special because it specifically goes against the grain by being all about the weird, the wonderful, the wacky, which I do identify as, frankly. I know that they tend to have stuff like taxidermy and leatherworks and ceramics, but I am an illustrator, so I mostly do paper goods as well as apparel. And I just found out this morning that my spot was upgraded from a 6-foot table to like an 8 by 5-foot booth space. And if you watched my geeky Christmas market vlog, you may remember how freaking awesome an 8-foot table is. So I am feeling spoiled. I have a ton of room. And as of this morning, I started to work on exactly what I wanted my display to look like. Because obviously, without knowing that I was gonna have an 8-foot table, I was planning for the 6-foot display, which means not bringing my garment rack. But with all this room to play, I can bring not only my garment rack, but an extra table, and I'm thinking about bringing my originals that I have as well, which is really fun because I don't often bring them because obviously space is of the issue. So setup is actually this evening. The show doesn't start until tomorrow at 5 p.m. So it's 5 to 10 p.m. on Friday and then 11 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday. This is actually my first market in a few weeks. I had another one planned, but I got a cold and so I had to cancel my appearance at that particular market. But before I got that cold, I had packed up all of my suitcases full of everything. So already today I've just kind of opened up all the boxes just to be like, okay, where is everything? Where did I put everything? Do I have everything? I wouldn't say that I have super high hopes, but given that it is like a 3-day show, I certainly hope that things go well. I haven't really done much prep, so my time spent and money spent to get new merchandise is pretty low, basically zero. But hopefully we can turn over some profit and have a pretty good weekend. bathroom nicely lit. Let's see if we can vlog in here and hope that there's nobody in a stall. It was dark when I came in, so I doubted it. Anyway, this is the greatest day of my life. They've given me literally 12 feet of floor space to fill with all of my shenanigans. And Mark always says, work expands to fill the time allotted. And I also believe that my product expands to fill the space allotted. It's very cool to have the original stuff on display and the fashion cats and the garment rack and all my stickers. I am super excited. No matter what happens, this is gonna go down in my mind as like, remember when I had the biggest booth known to mankind? But yeah, it's like, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock now. I will go home. There are some things I want to do, including making some extra signage and making some buttons that I thought would be fun to have on display. That's all from the Russian haul until tomorrow at 5 p.m. But let's go home and figure out the rest of what's got to be done. Good morning, everybody. Saturday Tuna here. I'm gonna be honest, I did not get the kind of footage that I thought that I was gonna get on Friday night because things did not go according to plan at all in the best way. So the doors ended up opening around 5:30 and we were open till 10. So really a pretty short evening. That's like 4.5 hours of hanging out. Went by really quickly because if you have been around here for a while, you may know that I rock these solo. I don't have a helper. I don't have someone who I can rely on to always be there with me at the markets. But this time, not one, but two of my friends showed up and wanted to hang out at the table while we were working. So it was amazing. Like, it was very distracting, I'll be honest, chatting with people, kind of talking to customers, making sure we were checking people out. But when it got busy, which there were a few opportunities where there was a rush, it was amazing to have them, you know, grabbing bags for me and just helping out customers who were, because like my table's really long, right? And if I'm here and someone's over here and needs help, like I need to trek quite a ways to go talk to them. So that was great to have my friends to be able to be like, oh, she'll be with you in a moment, whatever. The first friend wasn't able to stick around for too long. He had to go do something else there. And the other friend, who is Hannah, who is the tattoo artist, who you remember back in last year's Vlogmas, did this tattoo for me and then also did the nori tattoo that I have on my ankle, and who is also going to do a very cool large tattoo for me in the coming year. Stay tuned. But she lives way out in the suburbs and we don't see each other very often aside from when I basically go out to do a tattoo. And she was able to come and hang out behind the table for the whole entire time and we had an absolute blast. She was totally a natural. I'm sure that it helped that we had a couple drinks in ourselves too. Yeah, it really turned the evening into something super special that I wasn't expecting at all. I would say if I have the opportunity to do these like drink and shop or sip and shop, I guess they call it, type occasions in the future, I absolutely will. This is also another dog friendly market, Vancouver be like, so be prepared for more dog cam. I'm gonna like probably supercut all of the clips of the dogs together later in the video. I also made a new friend who happens to basically be my next door neighbor, which is amazing. She also has half and half hair, so you know, we're best friends now basically. Her name is Rihanna. She does like cool gothy pinup art, which I love. And we're splitting Uber to the thing today, so let's go. No public transit. It's getting stormy out now. I think today is going to be pretty stormy and then tomorrow not so bad, so we'll see how attendance goes. It's really difficult to say. Last night was pretty packed, like very steady, again with a couple of moments that were on the rush end of the spectrum, and the numbers are already pretty good. So yeah, let's hope that continues through the weekend, shall we? Last thing before I go, it's 9 o'clock and we're meeting up at 10 to grab the Uber. I do have some restocking I want to do. It's mostly the apparel and the tote bags because that went really well and I'm very limited in the amount that I can like have at my table at any time. But let's be real, I had 2 drinks last night and I am officially at the age where I cannot have more than 1 drink without having a hangover, and it's not fair, first of all. But between this coffee and a little bit of oatmeal, hopefully I can make it through the day. I'm fine. JK, I'm not that hungover, just a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, so I basically got no footage at all during the actual Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, I was like just pulling my phone out to like capture clips of every single dog that walked by. But otherwise, I kind of struggle to know what to film, and especially when it's busy, if I'm by myself, it's harder to get any sort of like action clips or whatever. So I'm gonna do the exact opposite of what a good filmmaker does and tell you all about what happened instead of showing you. Everything went awesome. I am so happy that I got invited to be a part of this show. It's very competitive. There's only about maybe 30 to 40 vendors actually at the entire event. And they're doing it 2 weekends. So the first weekend and then the second weekend has different vendors. There are some people doing both, but you know, I got invited to do one and I have another one next weekend anyway, so I didn't need to do both, but I totally would have if the opportunity was there. I feel like this experience has just like given me so much perspective to, I have one more show, but otherwise capping off this year of experimenting in the market space. I'm really glad that I did this one because it kind of is a testament to knowing your audience and knowing who your work is connecting to and how to get it in front of those people specifically. Now, I already know this, but my work resonates with people who are younger, lots of people in the queer community. Definitely when I do some of those beige craft shows, I get a lot of people walking by who are just like, oh, isn't that nice? You know, people who just like don't get what it is that I'm doing. But here at this show, everybody understood what I was doing. It was a super hip crowd. So many people were dressed so well, and I was like, hey, where'd you get that? Hey, where'd you get that? And was writing down everyone's answers in my handy dandy notepad. Mostly millennials, people who are my age, with some like older teens, and even some older folks too, honestly. But everyone who was there like understood what the market was about. And so I didn't stand out in a way where like a lot of people wouldn't be interested, but I would still connect with the people who were interested, who were at the show. But everybody who was at the show was someone who could very potentially be interested in my work. Hopefully that makes sense. So going forward, when you apply to markets, one thing that I really recommend you do is go do like ground floor research. If you hear about a market and it's too late to apply to be a part of it, attend the market, look around. What are people selling? Who is there? I think you're really gonna find that it's more valuable to attend just the shows that actually your audience is at versus really like spraying it around. By the end of next week's thing, I will have done 14 markets, some of which were great, some of which were terrible. And now going forward, I know which ones I want to focus my energy on, like weirdos, and please let me back in next year, please. It was so good, please let me back in. I think that this one was kind of like a 10 out of 10 no notes sort of situation. All of my neighbors were really good. I've mentioned before how important it is to have good neighbors at the show because these are the people who are gonna like help you out when you need to go to the washroom. They're gonna be the people that you chit chat with when things get a little bit slower. And it was cool to see like who was there every year, who was new, and swapping notes on the types of events that they do because there are so many events out there. And if everyone who is at Weirdos Market belongs at Weirdos Market, then to me, that means that some of the other markets that they do that I might not know about might be good for me to do next year. You know what I mean? So you just always be paying attention, asking questions, and getting the information from the source rather than, I don't know, relying on like guessing. I also realized I forgot to mention that the organizer is extremely hands-on, which is something that I really appreciate from markets. It feels like sometimes I do them where the organizer's just like out to lunch, maybe not even there, and it doesn't really feel like a community-run event. But Rachel, who's the organizer of Weirdos Market and has been doing it for the last 7 years, was checking in with everybody. She was like, her and her partner were like, oh, if you need to take a break, like let us know, we can watch your table. They were even willing to sell for me if I needed to. So yeah, that also contributes to the 10 out of 10 scenario where I feel trusted, supported, and excited to be a part of what's going on. A few other highlights I want to tell you about. One of the things is there is a small business here in Vancouver called Punk Rock Pastries. I believe they're at Weirdos pretty much every year, and they set up kind of like a cafe pastry kiosk, basically right around the corner from where my table was, thank goodness. The sugar and the coffee that they had available kept me alive through both days, so thank you so much to them for having such delicious food. And okay, was it good coffee? No, but it was caffeinated, so I'll take what I can get. I also sold 2 of my originals that I brought. The first one, Hannah bought. It was the girl with all the tattoos drawn on it, so you know, kind of a natural. And the other one was this plein air painting that I did during the summer that I honestly was kind of sad that I sold because I was really happy with how it looked and I felt like it really embodied the kind of work that I want to do going forward. I did that at like the end of the summer and then I didn't really get a chance to do any more plein air before the winter hit, so. But it was bittersweet because the person who bought it was like a mother of like a mid-teen person, and the mom came back and was like, I'm buying this for my kid, like kind of told me a story about, you know, how original art is really important to her and she wants to pass that on to her kid and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, well, if anyone's gonna take it home, then I guess I'm glad that it was you. Plus, you know, I got a little bit of cash for that, so appreciate it. But the most amazing thing that happened, okay, all right, so it's Sunday. I'm standing at my table. It's a bit slow, you know, it's been a good day, probably about halfway through the day, and an older couple walk up. They're, you know, 60s probably. And I'm looking at them, they're kind of looking down. I'm not really one to like jump into a pitch when someone approaches my table. I'll let them look, and then if we make eye contact, I'll say hello. If they seem receptive, I'll kind of open a conversation from there. But I was looking at the 2 of them, and the guy, I was like, wow, that guy looks exactly like one of the actors from the X-Files who plays one of the lone gunmen, the character Byers. And so to open up conversation, I was like, hey, you know the X-Files? And then they're kind of like, and then I'm like, you know, you look exactly like, and then his wife who's standing next to him goes, he is. So this guy at my table was Byers from the X-Files. He's my favorite lone gunman character, probably my 3rd favorite character probably my 4th favorite character in the series. No offense if you happen to randomly see this video. But it was such a delight. I really haven't had a lot of like celebrity experiences, so I was like, oh geez, it better be cool. But I definitely wanted to ask them to be my aunt and uncle because his wife is like obsessed with cats as well, and so she was just like gushing over all of my work. We swapped photos of our cats. They complimented my outfit, and just as they were walking away, or he had kind of walked along and the wife was continuing to talk to me, and she was like, hey, do you want like a signature? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even like think to ask. Is that what people do? They get photos and signatures with celebrities? So she goes over and, you know, asks him to come back. And here it is, my 100% certified celebrity autograph in my sketchbook. And I asked him, you know, like, do you get recognized often? And he's just like, no. So clearly the nerd cred is up there. Very, very, very cool. And something now that I will associate with weirdos about how wonderful of a time the entire weekend was. Let's talk best sellers. So apparel did really well, definitely sold lots of tote bags, lots of sweaters, and a handful of t-shirts. I did sell out of the rest of my toe bean t-shirts that I had. I only have the numbers for my card sales because I don't keep as good track of the cash sales. But I have 106 sticker sheets sold, which is really fun. I always love how big that number is. It just goes to show, like, I always joke that I'm just 1,000 stickers in a trench coat, and case in point. And the sleeper hit that I did not expect at all were the ask me about my cat buttons that I had pressed. I must have sold over 20 of that specific button, probably more, honestly. You know, must have been more, because one woman bought 8 of them and she was like, I'm gonna give these to all of my relatives. And I was like, if you do, can you send me a photo? Because that's really funny. Something that I will note is that pins moved really slowly at this one. So I didn't sell any of my kitty cafeteria pins. I also didn't sell any of the patches. I think I sold maybe like 10 or maybe 15 of the itty bitty kitty enamel pins, which isn't too bad, but it felt like a small amount compared to what like I could have sold. You know what I mean? And I think that maybe that had something to do with the fact that I had the buttons on my table, because they're very similar product, but one is $2 and one is $15. So I do wonder if I kind of accidentally created self-competition, but whatever, it's no big deal. It's just interesting to note some items that do really well at some shows just don't at others. Another nice thing is the pet portraits that I had set out with the originals that were for sale, that were just there for display. It generated a lot of interest. I had a lot of people who were taking business cards, gushing over the paintings, taking photos of my commission information. And you know, if one commission comes out of that, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good turn for, you know, the extra table space that I didn't have a use for otherwise. When it came to the sales, something else that I thought was really interesting was on the first day, the evening, it was like no cash. It was almost entirely card. But on the second day, there was a ton of cash. It was like almost 50-50. And then on the third day, back to like mostly being card. I don't know why. I do think a lot of people who plan to go to markets like this will bring cash, because if you're, you know, an old school market goer, then you remember the days when everybody only took cash. Obviously now we all have Square, so it really doesn't matter either way. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. But now I want to tell you what you want to know, which is how much money I made / how much I sold. So again, as I always preface, this number is not a net profit. This is my gross sales. So from this number, you need to deduct my Uber costs to and from, technically any food that I eat, but I eat food every day anyway, so I don't usually include that. The cost of the table, and then of course the cost of all of the product themselves. The gross sales that I made over 3 days was 5,500 Canadian dollars, which makes this my second best market of the year, which is very cool. There really wasn't a lot of extra expenses. The table cost was $300, which is really low. Most of the ones that I do are about $200 to $250 a day, so this is on the way low end for that. And obviously I didn't have any sort of like travel expenses to account for something like Anime-thon, which was my other 3-day event this year, other than Emerald City Comic Con, which feels like so long ago. But if you compare, I'm pretty sure that Emerald City Comic Con was a similar like sales number, but the expenses were huge. So ultimately it's like maybe my 4th best show of the year, but you know, I'll probably have to actually do the math at some point before I have to pay my taxes. But this was like the perfect way, the big fat dub that I needed to end my market season here in Vancouver. I have one more market next weekend in Edmonton, which is the Tomo Arts Market. I'm really interested to see how that goes, because it's very much like a sticker, cute, original art forward event, and it has a lot of kind of hype and interest online, and everyone has been talking about how great it is. So we'll see. We'll go on over there and check it out. If you are watching this video on launch day, I am currently selling at Tomo Market, so come find us in Edmonton. You can get the information over on Instagram. Keep watching till the end of the video for the full dog cam supercut, but I did want to take a moment to shout out all of my patrons over on Patreon. If you hadn't noticed, this is not a sponsored video, so all of my videos are brought to you by my patrons. If you are there supporting me for $1 to get podcasts and behind the scenes content, sometimes downloads, whatever I happen to have on hand, extra videos like sketchbook tours, thank you so much. If you are subscribed to the $10 or the $25 tier to get mailable rewards every month, thank you so much. All of your support, no matter how big or how small, makes a huge difference. It's basically the backbone of my business, so thank you to everyone for being there over on Patreon. But I know that we can't support every creator that we like online, so I just want to thank you for watching to the end of this video. If you really did make it this far, I think it's time to like and please subscribe, because I will be bringing you all kinds of more content in the new year. I'm so excited to continue this journey alongside all you cutie pies. Please leave me comments. They are the best part of the video. Even if you just want to make fun of like the fact that my hair looks weird on the third day or something like that, I love it anyway. Stay sparkly, don't let the cruel world dull your shine, and I will see you next time. Bye. Dog cam, dog cam.